Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Nerdsmith Power Hour, your afternoon lunch break, where we talk about all sorts of stuff. Not just RPGs, not just writing and creating games, but whatever the heck we want. We're wild, we're free range Twitch hosts now. Hi, I'm Angela.
I
This
like
is
free range Twitch hosts. I like that. That's our
we
new
cannot
tagline.
be contained. But we're still pretty contained. We are in boxes.
Corn fed.
I'm on keto, so no.
I had
but
pizza,
thanks
so
for trying. As I said, I am Angela. This is Logan. We are your hosts with
with the most.
of the information about Nerdsmith, so we can talk about things. And yeah, so how are you? How are you feeling this 3 p.m. or this noon Pacific time, Logan?
I'm doing okay. I have a little bit of a headache, but life is, falling apart. But that's okay. We're still here. We're having fun. No, everything's good. Everything's moving in a positive direction. I think it's going to be a good rest of this month. Tomorrow. It'll be a good tomorrow.
Right. Good tomorrow.
Then February, we'll see what February brings. Although February is the month of love.
I need to show you what I'll just tell you. I bought these 2 months ago in a sale at like a dollar store. They are decals to go onto my patio window that are just sloths and llamas with Valentine's Day puns.
Aww.
I'm very excited to just cover the window with them on Valentine's Day.
The traditional Valentine's Day animals.
Yes, sloths and llamas. I don't remember what the jokes are at all. But they involve slowness and llamas and
nice.
I don't know.
So I don't know why this just came up in my brain, but as a quick subject change, I learned about something, a society that I think I would like to join. I'm not sure if it still exists, but it definitely did at one time. It is called the Procrastination Society, and they celebrate all things procrastination.
Am I not already an alumnus?
Well, so they do. So they actually create events, and they do things like starting candidate re-election campaigns for people who have died, for presidents who have died, and things like that. So everything they do is just a little bit late, and I learned about it today on QI and this morning while I was watching it. I was just so excited about it. I thought it was the most hilarious thing in my life. And I was very excited to look more into it. So the Procrastination Society. It's like, showing up to try to buy movie tickets to a movie that just left theaters would be just great. I think that would be hilarious. That's the type of humor that makes me happy.
The secondhand embarrassment that I would be experiencing from that, because I know what it feels like to be in a situation with a clueless person. Oh, I don't know if I could do.
I do what intense. This is I think an unfortunate habit that I picked up more and more from my stepfather, that I and my wife has pointed out several times, that I have a tendency to feign the ignorance on certain things a little bit more than I should. It comes from DMing too, because you have to feign ignorance on a lot of things when you're DMing. But going out in public and feigning ignorance and things and makes her very unhappy. I think the worst one is I can fix Ange. I can make Ange.
Turn me up a little bit. I'll try. I turned myself up a little bit.
You were a little loud last night, so I turned you down a little bit. There we go.
Sorry.
I think
excitement. We'll get to that in a minute.
I think the big one is me mishearing things. So I have very, very poor hearing in my left ear. The doctors say it's like a 20% loss. But what it really is maybe a 20% loss, but it's also a 0% or 100% loss of comprehension of anything that comes in this ear, because it just gets garbled. I can hear like the beeps and crap, but I can't understand what people are saying.
Jessica, I don't remember her name, damn it, a YouTuber who talks about disability a lot. She has talked about her hearing loss and that she is technically deaf, and she's described it before as just like people are on the other side of a wall, and so she can hear them talking, but yeah, there's like just no there's no understanding of the words that are being said unless she
Yeah.
can see them talking.
Oh,
Then
wow.
she gets more context.
So I'm very lucky. It's only in this ear, and they've said that there's a valve issue that doesn't readjust the pressure. So every once in a while my ear will pop and I can hear just fine out of it, and I go, "Wow, that's what that's like. It's crazy."
Okay, your ear crystal gems fuse,
Yes,
and you
and
just
they just completely. But so often I have to ask people again what they've said, and I get to the point where a long time ago I learned that if you ask once, twice, three times, it becomes very awkward. And so I instead of asking what somebody said, I often just repeat back to them what I heard or thought I heard, because then they will correct you very clearly. However, I do have a tendency sometimes to do it without mishearing it, just because I think it's funny. And my wife has chastised me greatly for that. So,
as have I.
but it does happen. It does happen often that I actually don't hear it. And the reason why I say the wrong thing is because it's a lot less likely that somebody will just say it in the same volume or the same tone. If they say it the exact same way again in the same volume, I'm still going to mishear it. So I need them to kind of speak up and asking what they said and trying to lean in, you know, and they just, it doesn't quite work out. So I've just learned that saying the wrong thing, like, I'm sorry, did you say butternut squash? No, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, and then, you know, I can get a little better.
Don't give him more username ideas.
Chaotic Death. I love that. I am Chaotic Death.
But it's DEF as Tessera.
Death. I am Chaotic Def Jam.
Anyway, goodness gracious. No, there is no anyway. We're free range hosts. We can talk about what we want.
Talk about what we want. Is anybody hearing any popping from Angela when she speaks?
Popping.
Like popping sounds?
Oh,
If
no.
so, it doesn't happen often, just every once in a while, and I'm not sure if it's just me
Could be
or
my connection. No,
okay, so if you guys aren't hearing it, then I'm not going to worry about it. It's just something on my end, in my headphones.
Sorry.
No. I think it's in my head. I think it's on my end because it happens every once in a while. And
Damn headphones.
Often I have to reboot to get it to fix. But if it's not going out to the audience, I don't care. I'll live with it. It's very light, and I haven't heard it since I said something about it.
So I feel terrible that the ending of Shenanigans has been apparently a catalyst for me going, oh shit, we have a bunch of bonus content I can put out for first season of Shenanigans. So there's just a little bit of business at the front of this. I am working on releasing a number of Patreon special bonus content pieces. I am putting together as a farewell to the first season and sort of a ramp up to the second season. We're going to be putting out some character music playlists with some annotations from our players. Just things about what they think about the songs that they picked for their players, for their character playlists, and other little notes and such. So we'll be having those out. Right now I've got Adelaide, Bonnie, and Merrick. I'm hoping to grab Val's, and maybe we can all work together to make one for Arthur. And I think that would be a fun little project. And I'm also working on a couple of other little weird things that were inspired by last night. I told Logan about it already, that I might be doing little short vignettes, little skits that I want to do. And they're entirely self-indulgent, and so you're just going to have to deal with that.
One of the, and I think they're great, they all sound amazing. One of the big things that I'm liking about us going into this next season, something we've started to learn, is that I think we're kind of moving away from the shotgun approach of streaming, and we are going to be focusing very heavily on making Shenanigans our flagship. You know, we've had a lot of different options for what our flagships could be out there, but I think Shenanigans could be it, and we get a lot of attention from it. It's one of our most watched shows. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus really hard this next year on Shenanigans and making it the most amazing thing that we can. I'm actually I'm pulling in concepts from other shows. Shattered Forge, I don't think it's going to be coming back anytime soon. So once the idea of Spelljammer
into
hit,
the vault it goes.
Yeah, once Spelljammer came out, I realized when I realized I was going to be doing Spelljammer, it hit me that I could do world hopping stuff here within. So while I don't know if I'm always going to do perfect justice to these words,
well, we can talk to the creators and reach out to them and say, hey, help us out.
Absolutely. So I'm very excited to be working with such a large canvas This is a much larger concept than I've ever dealt with before in a campaign. And right now, the biggest issue I have is the biggest concern I have is how to kind of tie in traveling to all of these different worlds into one cohesive plot. But it may not. It may just be one of those things where it's like, you know, not every episode of Star Trek relates to every other one and brings the plot, but some of them kind of bring back different things. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
We'll make it work. I'm sure we'll have a good time. I'm not at all doubting that we're gonna have a great time.
And as we usually do at the beginning of this, I think we forgot, was if you have anything you'd like us to talk about today, put it in the chat and maybe we'll talk about it. If you have any questions about DMing or streaming or life, the universe, everything, it's fine. I'm sure we can come up with an answer in a few centuries.
Sure. So let me see. What am I doing today besides this? I've got some editing I'm doing, some video stuff for a different project. I'm putting together the Shenanigans Patreon bonus content, which I'm excited about.
We're going to get the Shenanigans announcement for the start of our next season. That's going to go
our
out today.
official
We're going to make
banner.
that official banner and announcement. We'll go out this very, very soon here. I'll be working with Will Crossway today. We are working on getting the first draft with lyrics of our opening song together.
We're going to have our own custom Shenanitune.
The Shenanitune. The lyrics are probably going to change a little bit after our session 0, which is tomorrow night. Because we'll then know a little bit better about the relationship between characters, and the whole opening intro is gonna. Yeah, he was asking. That's why he was asking for us to get the session 0 done sooner rather than later, which is great that we could. Because we're gonna record it, and then I'm gonna send him the important bits about your characters and things, so he can kind of see all of that. So Will is very excited about working on that. We've got Jam doing our art. Which I'm very excited about. We got the first drafts back from that, so that's really exciting. I can't wait to start sharing that in our final weeks before our launch. I'm just very, very excited. Oh, and of course, next week on Shenanigans at 7 p.m., we will be doing a one-shot just to have some fun and goof around. And then every week after that will be a following in the footsteps of our own Anne from Banana Brothers. We'll be doing a subscriber-only tech rehearsals where we probably just goof around, maybe talk about the characters a little bit, but I don't want to reveal too much until the show. But we'll definitely be doing some subscriber-only content in there on our Twitch channel.
I'm looking forward. We could always run Urban Shadows as a tester, if you wanted.
I did not have a plan yet, but I do think that I should run whatever it is because we're breaking in a new person whom I want to.
We should get them as comfortable as possible.
Running, in my style. Who I don't think I've ever. Oh, I did. I storytold 2 sessions for them. Ren Apollo is joining us.
But the more backbone you have, the better.
Yes, absolutely.
For that,
and I got to double check and make sure that they remember or realize that we'd like them to come. They were scheduled for next Tuesday for our session 0, but the session 0 got moved, so I want to make sure that they know. So remind me about that today, and I will get that done.
So just as a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. So one of the things that we're doing, since we have a new player coming in, someone that we haven't played a full campaign with before, we're doubling down and working hard on getting safety tools set up for everyone to be able to use together. I've been organizing our plans for what our safety tools are going to look like, how they're going to manifest, and the circumstances that we're going to use them. One of which that Logan did a really excellent job sort of sending out to everybody is that we used a Lines and Veils document. If you haven't seen the from Monty Cook Games,
Consent in Gaming is the name of the form.
Yeah, the RPG consent form, and you have a list of, I would say, an almost exhaustive list of the kinds of things that could be present in a game, the kinds of subject matter that could be present in a game that someone might want to avoid. and you have options of establishing them as a hard line or something you don't want to exist in the game, a veil, something that you'd be okay happening but don't want to see it happen, quote unquote, on screen, or you're fine with it. So we were able to go through this list and define things. You know, lines and veils are one of those things that is sort of your comfort zone is a constantly malleable process of, sometimes something might bother you one year and you need to establish it before a game starts that this is a thing that's bothering me. And I think it's okay if somebody changes their minds or if they adapt to the thing that bothers them or suddenly it gets worse. But it's all about communication and making sure that in the moment you are on the same page. So we went through, even the players that have played with Logan for an extended period of time, we all filled it out. We, sort of, I think there's also something to be said for the lines and veils not necessarily being just for this is something that is traumatic for me, but also kind of gives you a sense of the sort of game your players want to play. I mean, if you just ran a campaign with them, they might want to shy away from certain things that happened last campaign because they want to do something different. And I know Logan wants to do something a little different, so I'm sure we're not too concerned about that. So yeah, we filled out this form. We collated all of our answers, and so now we have this sense of what is par for the course in the game and what is going to be something we are more careful about describing or more careful about including in the game. Which is incredibly helpful when you're building a campaign because there's so many things you can do in a story. To have some parameters, you just need your imagination and a little bit of thought, and you should be able to, within reason, accommodate if people have certain content issues. So yeah, we're working on that.
And I was going to say something else also.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of conversation needs to happen with those consent and gaming forums. What I did was I got them from everyone, and I put all
they
of
are
it
a
on.
start to a conversation. They are not the only conversation.
And then I took all of them, put it into one form, just putting the highest of whatever area there is, and then gave that to the players as a, now they understand what the entire group is kind of looking at with it still being mostly anonymous. The big thing is though that people interpret the different tiers differently. Me as a DM versus, some people saw the highest, the red tier, the line, and they thought that it could still happen in game. For me, if a line is there, I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't exist. We're not gonna talk about histories.
That is excise it like from the game, from the game reality.
And that's at least that's the goal. I will make mistakes. I'm human. I'm forgetful. I've got a bazillion things going on in life and in the game at the time. I tell everyone that during my session zeros that I will make mistakes. That's why we have the X card. That's why we have the ability to stop. And if I do it in a respectful enough way that we can move past it, that's fine too. So we now have we've added the fade card to our list, which is just I just want to move past this scene. It's okay, but I'm done with
fade it. As in fade to black or fade out. Those are the sort of the implications. So yeah, that's the other safety tool that we're going to start utilizing is pretty much. I mean, that's not even a joke. Yeah, safe words. So we are going to be utilizing in our chat, our Zoom chat, our private chat, a couple of keywords that we'll be using in all caps. And the important thing is if we establish these are things we write in all caps, it makes it seem less like you're yelling in the moment. It's like, no, I know that these are the things you have to put in all caps because it makes them more noticeable. It makes them pop on the chat. So things like lots of people use the X card sort of system. So in the event that something comes up that somebody doesn't want in the game, they're like, oh, that's a mistake. Do not like that. Can we please not have that exist in the game? They can put the X in chat. And what ideally will happen is that Logan will notice or somebody else will see that X is happening, and we will gently pause the game. Like where we're going, we will try to establish whether in chat or vocally what it is that's what it is that is bothering that person, and then we will make some concerted efforts to retcon, like rewind a little bit and adjust what needs to happen because of that that strong reaction to what was happening in the game.
And I always look at this from not going to go anywhere not safe for work here, but we're going to talk a little bit about sex. I always look at it from a BDSM perspective. In the BDSM community, everyone jokes about safe words and things like that. But if
just
you
put
are
it in
in a
chat. That's
if
exactly
you
what
are
it's
in a
for.
good BDSM relationship with a good dom, they will not need a safe word. You should still have one, just in case a miscommunication happens. But there is a situation where you shouldn't need that, because the person who is the one paying attention, they should be paying attention and they should be able to read people. This happened in our game. Tessa had in the final session made a comment.
Tessa did a beautiful job. I think this. Sorry, not meaning to interrupt, but this particular example, really good example about how to handle this. I loved it. Honestly, Tessa got props in chat from people for how this played out.
So Tessa made a comment, she said something positive about, I'll always love you, and then did psychic damage to her father in the final battle.
Yeah, used that as the trigger word that would cause pain.
And in that moment, 2 seconds after, I saw her post in chat like, "Sorry guys, I don't think that went very well. I shouldn't.
I don't like that I did that.
I don't like that I did that." She didn't put an X card. She didn't say I want to change it. But seeing her say that, knowing my players, I knew that she didn't like that moment. So I stopped the game and we went back and I said, "What would you have liked to said instead?" And she changed what her character said. So she didn't use an X card.
Nobody changed it, just added to it so that it had some better context.
So the point is that as a GM, safety at the table is important, but you should be able to read your players, and you're going to miss stuff. I do all the time, but there's going to be moments like that where, you see a player say something like that. Don't be afraid to go back and change it. It's completely okay. If you're playing a serious campaign.
And if you can, message them privately if you want. If you don't want to call them out, you just say, "Hey, do you want to undo that?" We can. It's 100% on the table.
For the most part, during stream and stuff, I will be talking about it in person as much as possible, just because it needs to go quickly. And also when the change happens, it's going to happen vocally anyway, so we're going to know that something needed to be stopped, so we might as well get through it as quickly as possible. Because I'd really rather it just not affect... rather not make a big deal out of it. This was let's go back. Do you want to change it? Yes? Okay, what would you have liked to have said instead? That's what you said, and then I recap up to the point, and we catch up back to where we were. Nothing changed in the game, but that moment that was important to Tessa... sorry for calling you out, love. This wasn't a call out, but I mean, sorry for spotlighting you.
No, it was in the game.
I understand, but still, I just realized I'm kind of spotlighting her in this moment.
No, she said it's all good.
Okay, it's like talking about the tiger moment, which I did last night. So the idea is you don't necessarily need to have the X card to realize that somebody may not use an X card but still want to change something. As long as you're paying attention, your players, you'll probably catch most of them, and trust your instinct. It was one of those situations I was like, people say, "Oh, my character, haha, whatever." There's been a lot of times when characters do awkward things, and the players don't like it. But it doesn't mean that they would go back and change it. This was one of those situations where I realized, and I know my wife very well, I knew that was something she would want to change. So, and in different situations, you can kind of read that, and it never hurts to just stop and say, "Hey, do you want to change that?" We can go back and change it. It doesn't actually affect the game, but it does affect that person's enjoyment of the game, and that's the point. We do not talk about the tiger. It's like Fight Club. We do not talk about Fight Club.
It also allows people to be a little clearer about the direction for their character. If there's something that they were like in this particular instance is a really good example. It's like, no, that felt really emotionally manipulative. I don't think that's what she would have done. So it's that idea of being able to take a step back and say, no, I really need to make it clear what her intentions were here. I think that's an important opportunity to give players. So just in general, so the codes are X if you would like to retcon and remove it from we'll basically rewind, forget it happened, don't worry about it, we'll fix it, we'll change what happened. We have the fade, it just says fade in all caps, meaning fade out or fade to black. Like, okay, this is happening, I don't really want it to go any far, I'm getting a little uncomfortable, I'd like us to move on. So fade would be something like say a joke starts going too far or something, like say it starts getting in an uncomfortable. No, I'm. An example is the point is we are a new dynamic this season,
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. And so if say like a joke starts veering too sexual or starts veering like a conversation, an argument starts veering into something that is upsetting to somebody, they should be able to put fade. And what that does is allows us to not necessarily retcon what's already happened, but hopefully prompt you, Logan, to say, okay, we're gonna transition past this. And if you need to like prompt a summary, like, okay, you guys are having this really, really intensely vicious argument. Let's talk in meta terms how this resolves.
Yeah.
Because the idea of like just sort of sitting in that, like if two people are getting really intense and it might not be the good kind of intense, it would be important to be able to do that. For the most part,
absolutely.
we know our lines and we know where to fade, but it's always good to have a set decorum. Let's see. You want to read the question?
I will in a second, but I wanted to kind of comment on that. Tessa and I are notorious for playing characters when we're playing a game together that don't like each other or get into it, because we enjoy that dynamic a little bit. We don't ever argue in real life, so I guess it gets something out, you know. But we have been at tables before we learned about Session Zero and before we started to understand these things a little bit better. We were at tables all the time where people would stop the game and be like, "Guys, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, we thought you guys were actually fighting." I'm like, "Oh God, we're in character. So sorry," you know. And I don't use character voices usually at a table. So, you know, and she doesn't always either. So sometimes it feels like we're just really arguing with each other and getting really angry when we're really not. And checking to make sure that people at the table are okay with that is a big thing in advance now that we do.
Well, in that vein, the other code that we're going to be using is okay. So if somebody is getting really intensely emotional or it seems very negative what they're experiencing, you can check in with them in chat, or we're going to be checking in with them in chat. I suppose we could say if a viewer would like to check in with a player,
yeah,
they, I guess, are within their rights to write okay ? And tag the person. Especially in our games, you know, things can get a little intense, things can get a little emotionally wrought, if not overwrought. And it's important to be able to check in with a person, because there is a difference between I am genuinely upset and I can't handle this, and oh no, I'm fine, I'm just indulging in it. Like I'm just really enjoying the fact that we are capable of being so moved by a role-playing situation.
That Tessa is why it's hard to play a character that romances you in game, because we will become disgusting fluff monsters. So it will be very gross. But yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. Absolutely. There is I get checked in with all the time when I'm playing a character that gets upset or angry, because I wear it, because I get into character really, really well. At least I think so. At least I enjoy it. But to the point where I have people DMing me going, "God, is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm just in character," because I'll be off brooding, and everyone, you know, it'll be a different scene, but my character's still pissed, so I'm still brooding. But people think that we're in this new scene, so my characters, you know, should, you know, I don't know, they're not even in that scene, but I'm still over here just, you know, and they're like, "God, are you okay?" "Oh yeah, I'm just still in character. I'm just in a different room," you know. That's all. So I don't drop it, I guess, when things change. So it becomes an issue sometimes. I also have resting angry face sometimes. So.
Sure. But yeah, so we have okay with a question mark, and then your response can be okay if you're fine. Like, yeah, everything's okay. If I don't know if we really have a I'm not okay response. If someone's not okay, I think fade or X is actually a decent way to do it. Like if I need to move on from this.
Yeah, I think at that point it's just a matter of, I think the okay is really I need reassurance that you're okay. And if you're not okay, this okay question is a reminder that you have tools that you can use. Because I don't think we remember the tools in the moment all the time. Now my goal is to run a game that we'll never need to use the tools. But I don't get to control everything. I don't know exactly how people feel. It's a safety net, and that's the thing. You know, and there are a lot of yellow or veiled moments that I already know I'm going to kind of push the line a little bit because of the nature of what I'm doing. That I'm hopefully going to remember and stop and say, okay, this is what's about to happen, or right after, say whatever. One of the big things that we did in Countless Heroes, which I really liked, that it was nice having a couple of dedicated people that could moderate in those, is we would give out content warnings before we started things. I would be able to DM a moderator or another player who was moderating and say, hey, this is about to happen. Right before it happens, they could throw out a content warning just as we're about to go into some sort of scene, letting people know that we're about to start some graphic violence. And then we had somebody like Fennec who could just learn to start reading me and could tell by what I was about to describe that she said, oh, body horror is coming up. Hold on, this is, grossness is about to come up. The slime monsters and overly graphic depictions of Oobleck is coming, or whatever. And she would put these descriptions out there. And it was very, very nice to have somebody that could kind of learn to read me and put those out. Now, you won't always have those in your game, but using tools like content warnings could be very, very helpful to give people, to allow people to move through those veils, or even through the actual story, without needing to stop because they know it's coming. Surprising people. There was a post on Twitter the other day about doing things to the environment around you, like which I think are great ideas, like dimming the lights slightly, turning the heater on or off, changing the environment around, burning certain incense. But this person screwed up and said, don't tell your players what you're doing because it won't work if they know and you need to freak them out. And I went, no, it does work if they know. And I know this. We had there was a game store in the town that I worked at. I didn't work at the game store, but in the town I was working at. And they had a special room. They were run by the people who owned it were home automation specialists. And they built a private game room that had controls to turn the heat up or down, to control the temperature, to control smells, to control the lighting, control everything in this room from the DM spot. And it was incredible. So if we're going to Avernus, crank up that heat, and etc. But the players, you got to let your players know, and you got to tell them, and they got to be okay in saying, okay, I don't like that. Can we please stop? Because otherwise, you're just being a dick. Don't be a dick.
Good. In general, that's our rule. The Wheaton Law. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
So yeah, that's what we base our entire career on.
I would love to get some of the view lighting, or whatever it's called, the hue lighting.
Sure.
Because there's a plug-in for Twitch now that allows your audience to donate bits to change the color of your lights. And I was like, that would be a very cool thing to do, to let people set the mood lighting behind me for whatever's going on in the game. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I also want to pitch people who are in Twitch right now. You probably have noticed that in the last few weeks, there's a feature now called channel points. You start accumulating points for being in the chat or being in the show or watching the show, basically. I have a lot of those. I haven't spent them.
Mine just says infinite because I think this is my channel, so I don't know.
Yeah. But I think non-owners get credit for watching the channel. And what I want us to start doing, and we're going to probably have to talk about it a bit, that you can customize what those rewards are. You can have different things, but not just the defaults. You can make your own.
Oh, really?
So someone that I saw doing it, it's a different means of rewarding engagement with the show. There's a person out there that she actually sings cover songs when somebody spends like 1,000 channel points. That means I've been watching for a while, and that's what I would like to do. So yeah, you can have different viewer interactions that are not money based, not monetarily based, and do that. So we talk a lot about how we want audience participation in shenanigans. Maybe that's something we should start thinking about doing, which is some custom
Raven,
interactions.
Thank you. That needs to go on my list right now. Hold on. That is definitely going on the wheel of causality.
But so besides the wheel of causality, which causes money to spin, the idea of minor things. But like minor things that reward people for watching. It's a non-monetary currency that is purely for the people that take the time to watch for an extended period of time. I think that's a really nice and inexpensive way of rewarding your viewers, and I want to explore that more with Shenanigans and see if there are small things that we can have affect the game or have like, yeah, I know that like rerolls are powerful enough that maybe those are monetary, but like something in that vein, that someone could spend, 1,000 point. You make the point values high, and you say, okay, if you earn 1,000 points on our channel, you can gift a reroll. Basically,
is it just for the one channel? So that just shows that channel's points.
Yes, it is Nerdsmith channel points. Awesome. I'm pretty sure if I go to another channel, I'm pretty sure I won't have the same number.
I love it. That's
so yeah. The idea is not rewarding watching Twitch, rewarding watching that particular channel.
I love it.
We're gonna be talking about that. I say right now we're gonna talk about how to leverage that for Nerdsmith in general a bit better, because I think that's a fun inroad for people who might not be ready to donate but like the show, so then they can feel like they're contributing even by watching. Mm-hmm. That they are contributing. They're creating the community. They're creating that audience. That they are important even if they can't afford to donate to us to help support us. They're still supporting us emotionally. So yeah. But we initiate Shenanigans every Tuesday. But yeah. Beautiful. We're gonna we'll work that out. And
then we want to also figure out something to do with the hype train. I think that's a huge one. Maybe every tier we get on the hype train, something will happen, and as we get higher up, the better stuff will happen. It's only going to pop up once per session, potentially, if we get enough going. But yeah, that'd be kind of a fun thing to see what happens.
Wonder if Streamlabs will eventually have something that activates when the hype train starts. Like you go woo woo
I was
in the audio, so that we know that's happening.
Yeah, I would say that tier 5. I would say if we got to tier 5 of the hype train, which is a huge a huge undertaking. I mean, it's basically you got to have 25 to 35 donations all stretched in a row. I would say that like everybody gets advantage for the rest of the session, or something like that. It'd be a very
You're all hit with a sudden burst of inspiration. So without talking too much about the show, I will say something that I really enjoyed last night was everybody left except me, Heather, and Kyle, and we shot the shit about our new characters.
We shot the shit. Well, yes, you do.
But yeah, we talked about our new characters. We did very little bit of role play as we were practicing what our voices were gonna sound like. The only thing that I will spoil is that we went, shit, are we all British?
Oh, God.
Damn it.
Everybody went
That's all our defaults. It's the default easiest fantasy voice. So we were all just goofing off with our voices and what we were giving Kyle lots of makeup tips.
Very cool.
Since we're all trying to make a bit more of an effort to, we're trying to push up our, what's the word?
Bronze?
We're trying to up our game. Oh, okay. Is what I was trying to say. I was like, is there another word? Not just up, but no, it's up as a verb. So yeah, we're all trying to up our game a little bit when it comes to presentation during the show. We've got props, we've got a little bit of costume affectation, and I'm excited to
and I am very excited because I have some props and things that I'm incorporating into the game. I have some care packages I'll be sending out to the players, and I have some, and I'm going to be looking at getting some sort of outfit as well, because literally every shirt that I own has green on it.
You just need to get you just like a black handkerchief that you can just put around.
So I need a blank. Thanks. So I'm going to start Shenanigans. Let me put my bib on. Thanks, Angela.
You need a velour bib. It's called it's an ascot.
An ascot.
Actually, I would like to clarify, Jesse, if you have seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon, it is not push up your bras, it's tits up. That's how you psych yourself up.
Tits up. Tits up, wheels
Yeah, anyway, I have to continue watching that show. There's a bunch of shows that I need to keep watching. This is the part of the program where I veer very far away from topic because that's how my brain works.
It always happens at the end.
Yeah, I started watching Steven Universe Future, the new Steven Universe series.
I haven't finished the last one.
Oh, it's so good though. I'm really excited. It's beautifully done. It's dark, not darker, but it just decided
More adult?
like literally yes, like Steven's older.
How old?
But he's 16 in the new season.
How old was he in the old one?
He has a neck. He's like 10 or he's 10 or 12 in the first one.
Right.
So yeah, they did a really I approve. Quite unremarkable is selling yourself short, my fellow. Yes, that is very true. Stream of consciousness can be very effective. Sometimes. Often. But yeah, so I've really been digging Steven Universe Future. I just started The Witcher. I'm a couple episodes into The Witcher. I'm very excited. It's so good.
I think even though I know nothing about it, I think it's probably something I'll end up watching.
Oh yeah. I romanced Triss in Witcher 3, and now I'm like, well, fuck, I guess I have to romance Yennefer next time because they did such a good job with Yennefer's character and all her backstory and stuff. So yeah, anyway. I really like The Witcher 3. So anyway, new things that I'm watching. The Steven Universe thing came up.
Jesus.
Oh no, Jesse, we're gonna have to have a conversation.
Wait, fuck, marry, kill? Is that what you're doing now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Marry.
Only if you have a unicorn, Jesse. That's a whole like joke. Anyway, so.
Okay, good. Anyway, good to know, Raven. Thank you.
Yeah, the last thing. I mean, that's true, but I respect powerful women. Just I need a t-shirt. Respect.
Devils Wear Prada moment? Is that?
Kind of. Anyway, so I got into TikTok is what the end of this story was. So there was gonna be a way to do this.
I love how I'm going to watch The Witcher. By the way, and so I got into TikTok. What?
No, I've gotten into TikTok, so I've been getting reminded of all the shows I need to catch up on because people keep doing lip sync performances of clips from shows.
Right.
And so there's a bunch I just saw from Steven Universe Future, and I'm like, I gotta get back to watching that. But that's so I got into TikTok, and I don't know if I'm gonna make a Nerdsmith one or if I'm just gonna use mine and then like just say in the bio that I'm from Nerdsmith.
That's what I was thinking. Because we've been talking a little bit about becoming our own personalities.
Yeah.
Pushing our own personalities a little bit more. I think TikTok's the exact place to do that. So.
Well, and I want to get a bunch of us at least in shenanigans together because I want to start doing those like I'm cosplaying as my character, but I'm lip syncing a clip from another movie or a show or something that encapsulates my character's personality. There's a lot of those that are really, really good. I also have just discovered a new. So social media is weird.
Uh-huh.
It does things like communities are built and like weird social engagement experiments start happening.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things that TikTok has made me aware of, TikTok is a really big place for cosplayers.
Okay.
A lot of lip syncing and performance in full makeup and costume.
Okay.
Either as that character or like they're leveraging a different clip from something that seems to be funny or very impactful if that character is saying it. And something that I've started finding is people are like cosplaying their original characters, not just fandom characters. And they're like building stories through their TikTok videos, like using clips from other things to create a story narrative about their character. And
neat. That's cool.
And there's a hashtag going around called Asunderland. And it is a like weird, fantastical, dystopian like universe that encourages other people to make their own characters. I'm ignoring that, Jesse.
Uh-huh.
So this idea of people are making like creepy dystopian versions of like Alice in Wonderland characters and they're cosplaying as them and they have like song performances and stuff. So like there was this really creepy one with somebody doing the caterpillar, and like the caterpillar was getting genetically modified and experimented on. So they had a tattoo in like leet. It says caterpillar, like in letters and numbers. And
Yes.
then there was this weird clip that they cut to, and she was wearing a surgical mask that had a pipe going through it, and then all this fog was coming out of it to be sort of like the caterpillar with the pipe. So there was a lot of like really weird experimental cool stuff going on TikTok. And so a bunch of people are making neat things for this Asunderland reality. And I don't know if it's based on something or if it's just something that came out of TikTok and people started doing it. But it's very, very cool. And I'm like, this is neat. I'm not going to do it, but it's cool.
I like when people take a concept of this idea. Okay, they're gonna be short videos and whatever.
15 to 60-second videos.
So it's a lot longer
than
what. So 15 is the minimum.
15 is the minimum.
Really? I think
you can make shorter, but 15 is there's a chunk that you can film that is 15 and a chunk that you can film that is max 60. So you have two maximums you can play with.
Okay.
So you just pick a maximum recording, but it can be shorter. It's more likely than you think. But yeah, so I've been chilling out on TikTok trying to figure out what I want to make, do music and stuff. And for some reason, I keep trying to convince Andy it feels more accessible than YouTube when it comes to filming on your phone. YouTube, I think, has started building an expectation of production quality that I don't think is as easy to get people to look at your stuff. Sure. Whereas TikTok, that's the expectation, is short handheld videos. So you have a much lower bar to jump to be in the quality that TikTok videos are. As opposed to YouTube, where I wouldn't feel comfortable just grabbing my phone and recording a random thing and putting it up on YouTube. That's not really what I hate this sentence. It's not really what my brand is on YouTube. I usually edit a bit more or do like standing performances and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. It's fun to kind of
now. Do you have to record with the app, or can you put in like upload?
You can
videos?
Upload.
Okay, that's cool. Because I don't think Vine let you do that before. I think Vine.
Yeah, I don't know. But you can edit. You can also edit in TikTok. Like there's a lot of like cropping and stuff. If you upload a video, you can crop the edges and stuff to clean it up. And do a lot of neat stuff on TikTok. They even have a green screen function on TikTok.
I think we had a question earlier. Should we pop that real quick? That did not come out.
Sure. It had to do with...
Pop the question. No, that's not right. Never mind.
It had to do with accessibility during the game. And
okay.
If you have a comment, that's great. And I have a comment on it too. But do you want me to
I don't know what it was. So what was the question?
Sure. Jesse Pygmy being asked... accessibility things that you want to add or already do in your games, like note keeping for memory issues, written reminders for important characters. We're going to try our very best to use World Anvil a little more and try to make it more functional for Logan, because Logan has a very specific or very unspecific way of keeping notes or having his information for him.
With ADHD brain, it's very hard for me to take notes. What I've started doing that helped towards the end of Shenanigans was
rely on the kindness of Heather.
Well, rely on the kindness of others, but also doing the recaps myself. I don't know if you guys noticed, but for probably the 5 or 6 episodes right before the last 2, I was asking you guys for recaps, and then I started to write them myself. And then all of a sudden, I didn't need it anymore. I was able to recap the previous episodes on my own, which helped a lot. And I think I'm going to try to continue that. It
also encourages the storyteller aspect that you are helping to facilitate the story, and by starting us off, it kind of sets the tone for
Well, but I meant even in the back end, I was asking you guys for notes so I could write it, but then I stopped needing that. But I have a hard time remembering everything that happened if I've got a lot going on, and it's just I get memory block a lot where. People are like, oh, everyone, some people are, oh, everyone forgets things now and then. It's like, no, it's not that I forgot. I'll be looking at something and be like, there's Robert Downey Jr., his face. I know who that person is. I can't access what his name is. Or something simple like 2 + 2, okay, that's a little extreme. But, a simple math problem, and I'll be like, I know what this is. I just can't access the information to get to it. And it becomes frustrating sometimes. And it'll happen in game. You'll see me I'll just completely freezes me. Hate it. But even then, just having a problem with remembering certain details and things, I ask my players to take notes. Heather's very good at taking very clinical notes, and then other people kind of remember a lot of the more nuances as we kind of expand on those. So that's a huge help. When we did Countless Heroes, our big goal was that we were doing 5 games a week. So trying to write a full detailed recap of every show, which Heather did amazingly, along with Angela
God bless her.
And Tessa and a few other people. We had what I call our scribes, who would go through and do the mini recaps, and then they would be expanded upon to write full, beautiful text-based recaps of every single episode.
I think that's sustainable for a weekly show, but
yes.
It was absolutely not sustainable.
We did it until the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Where we just were like, we can't anymore. It's just
sustainable in the sense of my level of energy and
sanity.
Yeah.
And then that was on top of doing a weekly recap show. So we did a weekly recap show every other week of the last 10 episodes for the last 2 weeks. So every other week recap show. So we did a lot of accessibility like that for Countless Heroes. We found that a lot of people needed or used it. So it was a lot of work. And that's, of course, accessibility is a big issue, is how much work you need to do for who can use it. One of the big things we would love to do is to get captions to work in a way that actually works, but right now, because of an issue on my computer, I can't even get the captions for this show working. So getting one to work for 7 people is even more ridiculous.
It's more possible for one person hosting, but 2 is a bit of a challenge, and more is very difficult without having everybody have a caption box under them, and that can get incredibly busy and hard to parse. So it's still a challenge with streaming.
Absolutely. And another thing that we could consider is we turned this show into a podcast, or we did in the last season. We may not necessarily be doing that next season. However, one of the things I've seen a lot of groups do on Patreon is, as a patron thing, that they just take the shows and turn them into MP3s just straight. They don't edit anything. They just kind of move them over straight. And that is something we might consider doing for people who want to listen or can only listen. It might be helpful. But another thing is that even though we're a visual show, I do try to describe things, because it was a podcast. So that's become a lot more a part of a part of it. So I try to do more descriptions. And if somebody does something physical on screen, if somebody else doesn't say what they're doing, I'll say it, or ask them to describe what they're doing while they do it, as much as I can remember. But so those are all kind of accessibility things we've started to learn how to add in and help out with. Did you have something specific, or is any of that?
Just asking. I think they were just asking what what sort of things we use.
We would love to do more. It just costs money or costs time that we just unfortunately don't have, that we have to spend elsewhere, because when you're serving an audience, we're trying to serve as many people as possible, and it just sucks that we have to leave some people out because we just don't have the time or money to do it.
Slightly on topic, slightly off topic before we go. We've been building a lot of I've been bookmarking a lot of future sort of ways of helping us organize ourselves. I have, not to toot my own horn, I basically have a master's degree in Googling shit. So I love researching and curating information. It's just sort of where my brain goes, which is ironic because I also often have the problems that Logan described. So it just ends up being, I have expectations for myself that I don't meet. But there are certain little things about trying to track information, trying to keep organized with characters and things like that. One of those things is sort of like leaning into virtual flashcards, kind of a virtual flashcard kind of system. So like when I made all the Birchfield characters, Logan had access to that document that had all their information, and I broke down how I had built them, what they look like. I wrote a little descriptor for them. I wrote a little some notes about their general behavior and demeanor, and maybe how they relate to other members of the Birchfield, so that Logan had a bit of a baseline to operate off of. So he didn't necessarily have to make stuff up on the spot if he hadn't conceptualized that character himself. And so there's going to be a few things that we're going to try really hard to utilize World Anvil and how it allows you to store information. And now they're getting really good about how to, once you've put that information in, now the question is, how do you access it easily for your own reference? And so those are tools that they are currently already implementing. Just to name check one of our sponsors. So World Anvil just came out with Artemis, which is like a search engine command prompt kind of system. It's a search engine that you can look for things. You can just type things in and it gives you auto-populating search results, like based on what little you've typed. But then they also have commands, so you can say open and then write something, and it'll auto-populate the next thing you're typing. And when you hit enter, it will open that article. Or activate this, and then you start typing, and it'll give you all the things in Heroes or in World Anvil that you can activate. So like you can go to another campaign, you can go to another world in your account. So they're doing some really neat things with trying to improve accessibility in the user interface. I know that's where Demetrius's passions lie, is in user interface development. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
Hello. I think that might be our first donation for the Power Hour.
I think that is the first. It's because we changed it. It's awesome now. It's even more awesome now. Because now the Nerdsmith Power Hour. Thank you so much.
So yeah, we're at the end of our show, which is delightful. I'm very glad we talked 4 minutes past our time. But yeah, so we so I guess it's sort of a wrap up. This is the new, I wouldn't say improved, different and expanded.
Nothing has actually changed. We just realized that we didn't only talk about RPGs.
We should stop marketing ourselves as that. Discover RPG is not gone.
Yep,
it is being revamped. I am literally planning a meeting next month to plan the revamp. We are setting up a meeting
next month, like it's not 2 days from now.
Shut up. It's none of your business. No, it's fine. So this is the Nerdsmith Power Hour. I am Angela. This is Logan. We are two of the several directors of Nerdsmith. Oh, can I make that our new tagline, Pygmy? If you we're the thing you have your mid-afternoon soup to.
Mid-afternoon soup.
So yeah, we are a couple of the directors of Nerdsmith. We have a lot of cool things coming up over the next few months. I'm sure you'll hear about them as we're developing things. We will try not to spoil too much of shenanigans as we go, because you'll be seeing lots of advertising and lots of fun little marketing blips on our Twitch. Or on our Twitter, rather.
Our Twitter and our Facebook. We're going to start working on that, using that more if you're a Facebook person. You can follow us over there at Nerdsmith, or excuse me, facebook.com/wearenerdsmith.
Yeah, just search We Are Nerdsmith on pretty much everything and you'll find it, because we keep trying.
Just Nerdsmith, but yeah.
We keep trying to use Nerdsmith as our URL, and people keep using that, so we have to keep using We Are. I couldn't TikTok. I couldn't make one. Nerdsmith was taken.
Of course.
So anyway, find us on nerdsmith.org. You can find a bunch of information there. If you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon. That's the one
/Nerdsmith.
That's the one. That's the one we got. But if you can find everything, including links to our Patreon on nerdsmith.org. So that is the hub that you can get all the information and all the links to.
What's the hubbub?
The hubbub is that we got a $10 tip from a new friend,
which was awesome. Hi, new friend.
So yeah, and you're more than welcome to come join us next week, same time, same place. Wednesdays noon PST, 3 p.m. Eastern, and tonight, real big important thing. So tonight at 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the series finale of Obscurum. Now, I know people get really hesitant about catching series finales, but they can be really powerful, and you can always go back and watch the show, but you're never gonna have a chance to watch it live again. So you should go hang out.
It's a mini-series. It's only one season show, so it's only 12 episodes. Yeah. Actually, I think it's only 11 episodes. So it's not long. Is film noir style, Sin City, in the City of Mist RPG. Heath is our DM, and we've got Rev and Nix from the Crit Show podcast, and then Carl and Colton, who are new to the streaming realm. Well, Carl's not, but Colton is. All good improvers, all good role players. And if you're really into kind of that film noir, black and white French style movie.
Literally, Logan did a beautiful job setting up a layout that makes them look like they're in an old style movie, and everyone looks really professional and wonderful. And they all have their own custom drinking vessels based on their characters, which made me unendingly excited about watching
It's
that.
very good.
But yeah, you should check out their series finale
4
tonight,
p.m.
4 p.m.
PST
Pacific.
or 7 p.m. Eastern.
So if you follow us, you'll get pinged when we go live for Obscurum. So don't stress too much about remembering the time because we'll let you know.
And then on Friday we have Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is the second to last episode every Friday at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, wow, we ended up
PST.
we had a lot of finales, a lot of wrapping stories up, which is exciting because we have new things on the horizon,
Yes,
and we're
yes.
focusing on the things that that we're really putting our energy into, and so you'll see a lot more effort in those shows that we are sort of, I guess, consolidating to,
Yeah.
and coming up with new stuff. So I'm very excited about this year. And yeah, you'll also be hearing way more as we go about WonderCon as we continue to develop our plans for
Yes,
that.
which will be at WonderCon, and then we'll have our big
table.
all sorts of things. Table at WonderCon. We're at booth 911, right between A and B, by the food court, which makes me happy. And then we have, what else do we have? We'd like to thank World Anvil for all their support. They are our sponsors of our show and the entire network. Also, Die Hard Dice. You can go to dieharddice.com, use the coupon code DRPG to get 15% off your first or next order, whatever it is. You can see all the cool stuff right there that we just did. You can follow us everywhere you want to go. And I think with that,
we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us. We will hopefully see all of you next week. And if we do, we hope that you have a wonderful rest of this week. And please do us a favor and be good to each other. Love you all.
Enjoy your mid-afternoon soup.
Yes. Even if it's imaginary and hypothetical.